Welcome to our second episode of 3 of our chats with James Schoen. This week we'll be focusing in on decision making, a subject which I'm sure is relevant for both sixth form year groups, certainly for the upper sixth as they begin to make decisions about their future over the summer and beyond, and the lower sixth who of course as they enter Futures Week, or what would have been Futures Week and their virtual UCAS day on Friday, are beginning to make choices about what university, what college, whether to go to university or college, whether to do an apprenticeship, all of which they will be finding out a little bit more on Friday, so stay tuned. But for now, enjoy James's wisdom on the subject. So James, to start off with, I wanted to know, what is it about decision making that sometimes we're so scared to make a decision that it leads us to procrastinate?
I think, that there is something that there's a fear of making mistakes. And if I'm really honest with you, I think that this is one of the most sort of besetting things in schools, that schools, certainly fee-paying schools, have become really failure avoidant places. They don't like setbacks. That's principally because parents don't want to pay school fees and see their children fall and fail. But my argument is that isn't school the time to fall and fail and learn? And you've heard me say that when we have setbacks, we refine ourselves from them. We don't define ourselves by them, if that makes sense. They're learning opportunities, and we can improve and get better and shape. And a good cricketer learns from when he's got out in a particular shot 3 times, he won't play that shot again. So I think one of the things that people are scared of making decisions because they're scared of making a mistake as a result of that decision. But my first thing would be actually embrace a setback or a mistake or an error, because actually it's a time where we can learn.
Yeah. And of course, there's no magic formula to it, but I wonder whether you might share about how you make big life decisions yourself, what resources you use, what methods you found helpful.
I think this is where communication comes in. Some people are internalizers. I'm certainly not an internalizer. I love to talk to people, to share my thoughts, my ideas. And then you've got to be a little bit selective and wise as to who you listen to and who you don't. And everybody's going to have a different view. And it's about us formulating and working out who we are. I mean, this is what I Can and I Am is all about, is that I really want people to realize that there is gold within them, that they're really, that they are special people for who they are. I don't believe that anyone on this planet is a waste of space. And actually, as you receive these bits of comeback from your advice, you've got to work out who you are. There are some things that somebody might say to me, do this, do that. And I think, no, that's just not me. That's just not me. So I think listening, give yourself time for big decisions. I think, a certain amount of sort of, I don't know, kind of almost sort of creative sort of, thinking, well, if I do that, what is going to happen? You've got to sort of, do a certain amount of sort of processing like that about, is that the best thing? Is it the worst thing? I'm a real believer that, with teenagers, my eldest son is now in the upper sixes, 18, and I keep saying to my wife that we've got to give him ownership now of his own journey, his life. He's in charge. He's the boss. He's driving the car. And our posture as parents is all the time saying, do you think that was the right thing to do? Do you think it was right to lie about that? Or do you think it was right to kind of hide that from us? And actually all the time get him to make the choices.
That makes perfect sense. And do you think we're sometimes so scared about making decisions in life because we haven't had the practice, we're not used to making decisions?
Yeah, I think that there's that, and another one of my points I wanted to make, the more we do of something, the better we get at it. So, I think that within the school system. If I was running a house now, I would want, as a housemaster, to be giving the pupils more of their own choices, more of their own. I think actually, boarding schools are much better at that. And I was speaking to a girl, mentoring a girl at Bath Spa University not that long ago, and she said, I've never had to make so many choices. And she was just overwhelmed by it because she had been at home where her mum and dad had made every decision for her. And actually find yourself in a world of relative freedom. You couldn't cope with it.
Yeah.
That's really helpful, James. Thank you. And two final questions, I suppose. One, do you have any final advice for our sixth formers on making decisions? And secondly, do you think sometimes we have so much choice that we're overawed by decisions?
Yeah, that's definitely a reality too. Definitely. And I'm a great believer in keep your life in areas as simple as you can. And I think that otherwise you will be snowed under with choices. And I think, keep it simple, but also remember this reality that we do have just one life. We have one go at this thing called life. And actually, that rather haunting quote that we are the summation of the choices that we make. And if we make bad choice after bad choice, that's when we end up in the elephant grass and we're goners. But, my belief is that if you go to a great school like Cranleigh, actually, this is a time to really start building on the foundations, and your life becomes a significant one.
Well, James, thank you so much for all that you've shared with us today on making decisions, and hopefully that will be of benefit to those sixth formers listening who may be in that position of having to decide on their futures or make big decisions themselves.